Hola, es un gusto saludarles. Estamos en la oficina del doctor Nathaniel Jeanson. Él va a estar visitando Colombia en septiembre para dar unas conferencias en Medellín, en Bogotá, en algunas universidades de nuestro país. Y es un privilegio que podamos escucharle, hablar de su vida, sus investigaciones y qué podríamos esperar en esta conferencia. Nathaniel, muchas gracias por darnos este tiempo. La primera pregunta que queremos hacer a Nathaniel es ¿cuál es tu trasfondo académico? ¿Qué has estudiado? Y saber un poco de ti.
I was homeschooled through 8th grade and went to a small Christian high school for my early education. I then went to a state school. The educational system in the United States runs largely through the individual states instead of from the federal government. So I went to the University of Wisconsin, a branch of the University of Wisconsin, Wisconsin Parkside, and I studied molecular biology. And what I graduated with, my bachelor's degree, was in molecular biology and bioinformatics, which is studying life at the tiniest levels, but also using computers to deal with the massive amount of information we now have. Massive amounts of DNA sequence, RNA sequence, protein sequence. You have to have computer skills to be a successful scientist in today's era. I then went to Harvard because I was interested in cancer research, and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is there in affiliation with Harvard. And I remember the first summer I visited, one of the university professors agreed to meet with me to discuss research, and he said, okay, you want to do cancer research? Yes. Great. He said, there's 15,000 people here doing cancer research. So it's almost overwhelming how many choices you have in terms of what lab research and what lab questions you want to work on. I ended up working on adult stem cells because at that time, 2003, 2004, the connection between cancer and stem cells was just getting interesting. People hadn't thought in these terms prior to that, but there are many parallels between normal stem cell biology and what goes wrong in cancer. And if anyone knows relatives with cancer, they probably are familiar with the problem of relapse. So you give someone chemotherapy, you do surgery, you give them radiation, and they seem to be cancer-free for 2 years, 5 years, and then cancer comes back. It's almost as if the cancer is sustained by some tiny population of cells. So if you surgically take out a tumor and you transplant those cells, many of them will not form more tumors. It's like it's this rare population that sustains the entire cancer. And that's how stem cells work in adults in a normal setting. In my blood, my red blood cells die out in a few months. My white blood cells die out in a few hours. It's the stem cells that keep me breathing, keep my tissues sustained. And so that was my interest for graduate school. For the last 10 years, I've been working on a different biological question, and that's the origin of species. And using a mix of my undergraduate and graduate background to reevaluate Darwin's central question. What's the origin of species? And then finally having the tools now, genetics, to investigate it.